And so what I'm telling you right now today, and I really want everyone to listen to the words I'm about to say, the real estate marketing landscape is going through the biggest change it has gone through since the birth of social media. Well, first off, thank you all for having me. My name is Jimmy Mackin. I'm the CEO of Curator. I co-founded this company now about 8 years ago. We help listing agents get more listings. We are a premier agency in the real estate space. We believe that marketing is a core part of what you should be doing every day, and we obsess over making sure people actually stand out in their marketplaces. And so what I want to do today is, before we talk about strategies, because what I want you to walk away with today, because I'm an actionable kind of guy, I want to get in the trenches with you. I want to give you some ideas that you can execute as soon as we're wrapped up today. But what I want to start off with today's session with is to give you a better lay of the land, as Michael was saying earlier, kind of giving you a 30,000-foot view of what's happening in the marketing and advertising space, and also just to commentate a little bit on what's happening in the real estate market. So one thing that we should point out here is real estate. We've entered, I asked people, hey, can you do me a favor and could you define what a seller's market is? And guys, just do this in the chat right now. What is the actual definition of a seller's market? The textbook definition of a seller's market. Just drop it into the live chat right now. And while you guys are answering that question, what I have found to be the case is most people will say, well, when inventory levels or the absorption rate is less than 6 months, it is technically a seller's market. Now, some say it's 3 months, some say it's 4 months, some say when demand exceeds supply. So all those things are true. What we are living through today, we need a different word for. When inventory levels are down 30, 40, 50% across the board, when buyer demand is up 60, 70% because of sort of this remote work from anywhere movement that we're experiencing, we've entered into a new category. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market. It's something entirely different. It's sort of the Lord of the Flies moment where it's feast or famine. And what's happening as a result of that is you're seeing agents feeling like, even though the real estate market technically has never been better for certain people, it's creating winners and losers. And what I mean by that is many agents I talk to, they say, Jimmy, if I could only get more listings, my business would do so much better. And so what I think is an important point that we want to start off with is, as an organization, you have to have a singular focus. What keeps your doors open is obsessing over having strategies to win more listings. And the best way to visualize this is the pie has gotten smaller. So if you want to grow, you need a bigger slice. And that means the output of your effort, right? The amount of work you're doing to attract listings needs to increase to match your aspirations. You have to put yourself in a position where you are thinking to yourself, okay, if it took me 10 hours a week in the past to book a single listing appointment, I've got to turn the volume up on that, get that up to 15 hours, get that up to 20 hours, depending on how long or how much you want to grow your business. Now, there's another thing that's happening. So right now, if you can just envision this or imagine this for a moment, the real estate market, the pie is getting smaller. You need a bigger slice. You need to increase your output if you want to achieve your goals this year. On the exact same side of the equation, you have fundamental changes happening to the marketing and advertising space. And let me just point out a few for you. Right now, you see companies like Zillow and Redfin and Opendoor who are entering into this space. And if you notice what they are doing is they are going direct to consumer, and they have built a brand that attracts people to using their services. And the reason I'm bringing up these three companies is because these three companies are obviously the ones that on the surface are trying to, disrupt the model and arguably the most successful version of that. But what you're noticing is that, and what you might not know, is over 80% of Zillow's traffic is direct. The keyword Zillow is actually searched more than the keyword real estate. And so what Zillow has been able to successfully do, and what Redfin is beginning to do, and what Opendoor hopes to do, is they have built a brand that now attracts consumers. And what I think is so important here when we look to the future is there's three things that are happening. Number one, the privacy policies, the terms of service, the targeting options that we have been accustomed to in real estate advertising and marketing are going away. You saw this first with Facebook when Facebook got cracked down by HUD and when they removed like zip code targeting, they removed demographic targeting. And so now you're limited to how you could target your prospective audience. The second thing that happened most recently is Google removed third-party cookies. So we no longer can passively track people's behavior, which is going to have a dramatic impact on things like retargeting. And then finally, you saw this just happen, I think this past week or two, the iOS 14 update with Apple, which actually forces people to opt in to allow Facebook to access your data so we can begin to use that in some of our future advertising campaigns. So I'm actually curious in the chat for me, what Apple has done is they have said, if you, Facebook, want to track our users' activity, you have to allow them to opt in. What percentage of people do you think are opting in to be allowed to be tracked by Facebook? And Michael, you can help me out here in the chat when the answers come in. But here's the question. What percentage of people do you think are allowing Facebook to track their activity? Is it 50%, 60%, 30%? What you see is you see that privacy is becoming a major factor. Targeting is becoming a major factor. Tracking is becoming a major factor. So that means that the brands that are going to win in 2021 and beyond are the brands that are attracting so they don't have to chase. And so you have to, and this is the foundation to everything I'm going to share with you today. A huge part of your strategy has to be focused in on creating content that adds value and solves people's problems and gives them a compelling reason to stay connected with you. Because you no longer are going to be able to get your information in front of them through advanced targeting or retargeting or using demographic data. Michael, what are some of the answers coming in right now?
Well, it's clearly no one knows because the answers couldn't be more different. 10%, the next comment is 98%. Then it's back down to 25%, then it's up to 90%. Then it's at 90%, then it's 70%. Then it's 10 to 20%, then it's 10%. So clearly, we don't know.
3% of consumers have allowed Facebook to track their information, meaning 97% of people are saying, no way, you cannot track my information. And so what I'm telling you right now today, and I really want everyone to listen to the words I'm about to say, the real estate marketing landscape is going through the biggest change it has gone through since the birth of social media. These changes are going to have a dramatic impact on anybody who is currently running ads on Google, running ads on Facebook, running ads on IG, TikTok, you name it. If you are investing in advertising, this impacts you. If you are marketing, this impacts you. So as business owners and as realtors, as team leads, we have to make a decision on what the strategy is going to be going forward to adjust. We can either sit on the sidelines and complain, or we can get in the game and start making some adjustments. Let's start with a basic principle, which is why do sellers actually hire their agent? I'm going to go through each of these really quickly with you. Familiarity. This is so important. Take a screenshot of this. Take a picture of it with your phone, right? Why do sellers hire their agent? Number one, they know who you are. This is obvious, but we have to realize the vast majority of sellers who list their property don't choose another agent over you. They choose another agent because they don't know you exist. So if your brand isn't a brand that's familiar to them, they don't know who it is, they're going to default to who they know best. This is why people who sell 2 homes a year, and have their license hung and have been doing a lot of real estate pick up these random deals because the agent or the consumer doesn't know any other agent. So familiarity is one of the main reasons why consumers hire their agent. They know who they are. 75% of consumers only interview one agent before making their decision. Number 2 is positioning. When I mean positioning, what I'm referring to here is that you are positioned in the mind of the consumer as an expert in the type of sale that they need you to be an expert in. So as an example, if you're a luxury agent who focuses on coastal properties in Southern California, your marketing, your messaging, your branding is positioning you as that individual. So a consumer says, well, I have a home that's in coastal Southern California that's a luxury property. So therefore, this agent who is positioned as the coastal luxury agent is the right agent for me. So positioning is number 2. Number 3, track record. Can you prove that you're actually good at what you do? Can you show evidence that you actually have sold homes and achieved the outcome that they want to achieve? Part of your marketing strategy has to be centered around highlighting the fact that you are great at what you do. So what I find more often than not is agents are waiting to the listing presentation to be able to demonstrate that they're great. If you're waiting to the listing presentation to sell your services and highlight your value proposition, you've already lost, because those listing presentations, those appointments are ones you would have already gotten. Consumers, if they, in the absence of seeing a track record, are going to move on to the next agent. Number 4 on the list is social proof. This is highlighting the fact that there are other people like them that have experienced your service and loved it and valued it. And so where reviews come in, testimonials come in, video testimonials, this is a video conference, video testimonies, those are incredibly compelling marketing assets that, if used properly and marketed properly, can help build that connection with the seller. And then finally, the last one is the obvious one, which is that belly-to-belly moment. When they see you, when they hear you, when they talk to you, do they feel like they have a connection to you? And this is why video is the internet right now. This is why video has become the primary method of building a business, is because you right now are listening to me talk. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. You maybe have never heard of who I am or what I do, but now you're starting to form an opinion about me. You either like me, you like the information I'm sharing, you think it's interesting, you think it's helpful, or you don't. But either way, you're starting to build a connection to me, and you're starting to establish an opinion about me, and we have a relationship. It might be a one-way relationship, meaning you to me and not me to you yet, but this is where you actually can establish yourself as an expert and build a meaningful connection with your audience, with the people that you're marketing to. So when you look at the landscape here and you look at the broad brushstrokes, you look at social proof, you look at familiarity, you look at track record, you look at positioning, you look at connection. All of these factors dictate whether or not someone is going to hire you. So the question we have to begin to ask ourselves is, knowing that this is why people hire us, how do we make sure that our marketing strategy using video can check these boxes, can help us raise our familiarity, can help us position ourselves as the expert that they need, can highlight our track record, can show the fact that other people love working with us, and can help build a connection? Why people hire you and what they value are two different things. So getting into the psyche of the seller for a second, one of the things that we do at Curators, we conduct a lot of research projects where we interview sellers and we ask them questions like, why did you hire your agent? And we ask them questions like, did you think the commission was fair? And one of the fascinating things about sellers is how willing they are to share their opinions about their experience, and how honest they are about their decision-making process. And one thing that I'll never forget, I was interviewing a client in Newburyport, Massachusetts one time, and I asked the client, I said, hey, Kevin charged 6%. Did you think that commission was too high? Now, if any of you are have a legal background, you know that's called leading the witness, right? A little bit. I'm like, hey, do you think the commission was too high? I was kind of priming her, thinking that she'd say, yeah, I think the commission is a little too high. But you know what she said to me? And I'll never forget it. She said, Jimmy, I didn't think the commission was too high because I thought it was fair. That's the F word. My boy Chris Voss would use that word, fair. I thought it was fair because Kevin was willing to invest in my home to prepare it to sell and to get as many people interested in my home, with the realization that if he couldn't get the price I wanted, I wouldn't sell it. So he had skin in the game. So I figured if he was willing to invest in photography and staging and willing to do the open houses and then do the videography and the tour for the home, if he was willing to do that, I was willing to pay the commission. And so when you look at what consumers value, you have to say to yourself, part of my marketing strategy has to be designed around understanding why people hire me. And that's more about your brand strategy. And the other part of it is, okay, how can I demonstrate that I offer services that they value? Michael and I were talking about this at the beginning of today's session. We talked about the constant pressure you guys are under in this industry, from the one percenters like Redfin to the Zillows and the Open Doors and the 100 other clone brands, right? The copycat brands, where they are just like, click, click, sell. That's sort of the pitch, right? You're under constant pressure to justify your existence. And the way you do this is by demonstrating that you are able to deliver the value, forget about price, the value that consumers want from their realtor. So now that we have this foundation, Michael, let's build on top of this if we could. Let's talk about content. You heard me pitch the importance of content, and now you're looking at, where do you come up with these content ideas? Michael, are you able to access the browser as well on your side, or can you only access slides?
No, I can access the browser, no problem.
So do me a favor, go to the website answerthepublic.com. So here, let me set the stage here for you guys as Michael's pulling this up. What we want to do is say, okay, now that we know, let's start stacking this. Now that we know that we have to build our familiarity, we have to build our positioning. Now that we know we have to show our track record, we have to be able to highlight our social proof. And then, of course, we have to be able to build a connection. Now that we know that, and we know the things that consumers value, we now say we have to go to market by creating content that consumers love. How do we find the content to create? And there's a couple ideas I want to give you. There's a website called Answer the Public. Now, Michael, if you type in the search, selling my home, that's it, and you click search, what you're going to see here is Answer the Public will kick out results for you. And these are results based off of using Google search algorithm and their type ahead. These are the most common searches that people have. Michael, if you want to pinch and zoom to zoom in on one area there, does selling your house affect your Social Security bracket? Does selling your house affect Medicare? How does selling my house affect taxes? Is selling my home taxable? These are all questions that people are typing into Google that Answer the Public is able to surface to inspire you as a brand to create content that solves the problem. A guy by the name of Marcus Sheridan, I want you guys to write this down. Marcus Sheridan wrote a book called They Ask, You Answer. He's the chief advocate for the inbound marketing movement. A tool like Answer the Public can help you uncover great ideas to inspire your content creation. So if you're listening to me talk right now and you're saying, Jimmy, I believe in the future of video, I believe in the importance of content creation, I just don't know what content to create to help build my brand, Answer the Public is a great resource. Another framework you can use, and this is not in the slides, Michael, but it's worth pointing out, and this framework I call Can I, Should I, How Do I? Can I sell my house in a pandemic? Can I sell my house if I don't have a home to move into? Can I sell my house if I don't have that much equity? Can I sell my house if insert whatever scenario that exists? Should I sell my houses when home values are on the rise? Should I sell my house if I can't find a new home to move into? Should I sell my house before the market crashes, right? These are the should I questions. And then lastly, how do I? How do I sell my house when I don't have a new home to move into? How do I sell my house to maximize my profit? How do I sell my house, right? Insert whatever the situation or scenario is. So the can I, should I, how do I framework can kind of inspire content ideas. One of the beauties of being super active on social media is that if you create a lot of content like this, live, post, emails, just quick, easy to consume content on social, what happens is you can actually go back and look at your history and see what was the content I produced that people liked the most. And what I do, this is a really specific pro tip here that I think agencies and marketers and professionals execute that call it the average person doesn't do, is the way that we decide on how much to invest in our video, which is a big investment, cameras, editing, lights, recording, right? The way we decide on what to shoot and what to record is we look at our social media accounts. We identify over the course of a 30-day or 60-day period, what was the content that we produced, the posts, the tweets, the stories, the ads, right? That got the best response. And based off of the response, the saves, the likes, the comments, the shares, the follows, right? The interactions, Based on the response, we create longer form evergreen content. So in the case of Curator, when we put out anything related to listings, people love that information. So then we'll invest 20 hours into producing a series on like 21 best ways to get listings. And then, that will go viral for us and get hundreds of thousands of impressions and views. So we use the validate and then scale model as a way to help dictate our content strategy. So let's keep building on these building blocks. We know that we have to establish ourselves as an authority. We have to position ourselves in our market. We have to build up a track record, show our social proof, and establish a connection. We know that we have to add value and demonstrate to the consumer that we can help them solve their problems. Then we have to say we have to have a brand strategy designed around creating content in the form of videos that actually is what consumers want to consume. Answer the public using tools like the Can I, Should I framework, and then finally validate and scale. What Michael is sharing with you, you guys can screenshot this. These are 10 seller ideas you can use just to get started with your video marketing. So every one of these topics can become a video for you. Every one of these topics can become a content strategy. So 8 signs that you shouldn't sell your house right now. This is known as the contrarian technique, which I'll share about in a little bit more, right? The best and worst home improvements to make before you sell. These are great video topics that educate the consumer, position you as an expert, establish your authority, add value, build brand affinity so you can actually win the business. So much of selling or attracting sellers, unlike buyers, and this is important, is building your brand recognition. Buyers will work with anyone who will show them houses or anyone they think they can get them access to a home before everybody else. Sellers want to know they're working with the best agent who can deliver the most value, and that's really all about building up your brand. This to me is just a super powerful tactic. Karin Carr, one of our clients at Curator, she's using the contrarian method. And so what you do with the contrarian promotion, this is a way to win more listings, is you answer the question that's in everyone's mind that no one's talking about. So everybody in real estate, Michael, is saying what? There's never been a better time to sell. The market's never been hotter. Home values are on the rise. All these things are true. So why aren't more people selling? And so if you can be the agent who's educating the consumer and shining a light on the reasons why people aren't selling, that can actually establish you as someone who's not a salesperson pushing someone into a transaction that they don't need or want. Rather, you're an authority, an expert, a trusted consultant who is willing to help someone looking to make the right decision, not just a decision. The next thing I want everyone here to do, your listings are your best asset. The best way to get more listings is to market and promote your listings the right way. The single biggest mistake I see inexperienced agents making right now is in a hot seller's market, they underinvest in marketing their home because they know the home is going to sell quickly above asking price with many offers. That is a complete lack of imagination and failure of strategy. If you are under investing in your listings, you are missing out on the key value that listing promotions add for your business, which is by investing in your listings, 2 things happen. Number 1, your seller sees how you market their home and begins to value your service and say, this was worth it. But number 2, other sellers in the area see how you package and position and market their neighbor's home and say, I want that for myself. What you should be doing with your listings is at every stage of the journey, coming soon, just listed, open house, under contract, just sold. Every opportunity is an opportunity for you to create content around that and promote it. And one example of that using video is, I mean, every single person who's watching today, when you shoot a listing video, you probably are saying, well, we're not doing too many listing videos because the homes are selling in the first 30 seconds to go on the market. Well, you've got 24 hours with the clear cooperation policy to market the hell out of that home. That 24 hours, they call that like magic hour. You got to be pumping that content out there 24 hours before it hits the market. So what I would be doing is, if you can't get your videographer there to shoot the video of the home, is get your camera out, put it on a tripod, and just do a quick sizzle reel. Hey, we're about to list 123 Main Street. This home is going live on the market in 24 hours. As you guys can see behind me, it's a beautiful home. Homes like this have been selling in less than 3 days, getting on average 15 offers and selling 7% above asking price. If you want more information on this property, please drop a comment below or just text me right now at this number. And oh, by the way, if you need to sell your home before you buy a new one, let me know in the message. Right? You're using your best. I'm just giving you a rough and raw script there, guys. And hopefully when we get the replay of this later and you can rewatch that, this is what you should do for every listing. Now, what you should do then is take that listing, that moment, that marketable asset, take that listing and then put a YouTube ad behind it and a Facebook ad behind it and mass distribute it to the world. Get it in front of as many people as possible. When I started my career in Facebook, we were in the golden age of Facebook advertising. You could target people based on everything. That no longer is the case. It's still a viable channel, but it's pros only. We are now in the golden age of YouTube advertising. I'm sure throughout this entire couple days of video strategy and coaching, I'm sure YouTube advertising has come up a couple times.
We
I'm
talked about it
right now. Michael,
we talked about it a lot, and I believe it is Facebook 2018, 2017. That's where I think it is.
Yeah. And we are in the unregulated, sort of unadulterated, like, let's go, right? You can get like 3 cents, 2 cents a view, target people based on their behavior, their activity. It is, you can get in front of your competitors' videos. Like, it is unbelievable what you can do with YouTube advertising.
Jimmy, I mean, we talked about that too. I mean, someone's created a YouTube video, they've shot it, they've edited it, they've put up the tags, they put up the title, they put up the thumbnail, and 3 seconds before they watch that video, I steal their client's attention. But the reason why I believe it is such cheap advertising is because in order to run a YouTube pre-roll ad, you have to create video. And it's shocking in the real estate industry in 2021, we are still like on the cutting edge because so many people are averse to creating video content. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a great opportunity, in my opinion.
You bring up an excellent point, which is like, unlike Facebook, we just type in some words, drop a photo and boost. With YouTube, you have to have the asset. And that barrier, which is now getting smaller and smaller, let's be clear, right? People are now jumping over that hurdle a little bit easier because the on-ramp has now become more accessible. It's still a barrier. And so what I'm saying is, and just pay close attention to what I'm about to say here, is that you create this content and you upload to your YouTube channel. But your YouTube channel has 100 subscribers. So the video doesn't go viral. Instead, you create and then you distribute. Then you advertise. And so what you want to do with YouTube is, Michael already mentioned it, a skippable in-stream ad. And the beauty of this, so important, and I'm sure it was talked about, but I want to repeat it. Someone could watch 29 seconds of your video and skip the ad, and you pay 0 cents when you use a skippable in-stream ad. That is unbelievable when you think about it. YouTube, unlike Facebook, and I'm not trying to compare the two because both add value in different ways, but YouTube has a platform called TrueView, which is saying, hey, you're only going to pay for people who are watching 30 seconds more or interacting with your ad. So remember, using the listing lifecycle, you can create video content at each and every stage. So Michael, jump back to the slides for me for a second. I think right now, the problem with most agents who don't get listings is they focus too much on the beginning part of the cycle. 90% of all the investment is made on the coming soon and the just listed. And what I want to challenge you to do today is I want you to invest in the next part of the process, was when you sell the home, shooting a success story. Now, I highlighted an example of this. So success stories is, to me, one of the most underutilized and impactful things you can do. It's a way for someone to say, this individual is absolutely amazing at what they do, and they are truly special. And it can have a incredible impact on someone's decision on whether or not they want to hire you. So what Scott Hardis is doing here is he's actually doing a success story when they sell a home or buy a home. He's doing a success story, and he's using a video in the success story. Now, if you go to the next slide for me, I want to give the community here a list of questions to ask. Now, this is, in my opinion, a framework. Take a screenshot of this. Take a picture of it. These are the questions you should ask. This would be an example, Michael, if we want to do some role play. Hey, Michael, could you please tell everyone why I was so great to work with?
Yeah, well, Jimmy was amazing. He listened to what we wanted. He was able to deliver a quick sale, maximize the dollar value, and it was actually an enjoyable experience, something we were scared to do, but he
Yeah.
made it enjoyable.
And so that's a listen, Michael's a pro. That's a pretty good testimonial. I would take that. But the reality is that is I would call it a superficial testimonial that really doesn't give the consumer any understanding of sort of behind the scenes motivation and the value that they add. So if I were to ask Michael the same question, say, Michael, take us back to the moment where you made the decision to move. And like, how did you go from making the decision to move and sell your home to signing the listing agreement, actually putting your home on the market? Talk us through that journey. Now, what Michael would say is he'd talk about his process, and what the consumer would say, oh, that's me. I'm in that exact same spot. And what they're going to say is, and this is what's going to come out naturally, they're going to say, well, we were looking for a good agent and we were looking for the right fit. And we were really concerned about maybe not choosing the right person. And then we came across Michael's website. We came across his ad, or came across his brand, his social media. And, we saw a couple of his videos and we felt like, oh, this guy's like unlike anyone else. So they're going to give you the testimonial you want, but they're going to share more of the story. And the story is going to have the impact on the consumer decision. So when you think about the listing life cycle, every listing, every time, no exceptions, right? You've got to get out there, coming soon, just listed, open house, just sold, using video at each stage the right way to promote the fact that you have an asset and you have a story worth sharing. So that is a cornerstone part of your strategy. We did an experiment at Curator. We brought together over 200 of our clients and did a seller sprint. We did 7 days where we focused on helping our clients get as many listing appointments as possible. This was February this past year. And we collected data from over 200 agents. And what we found to be the case across the board is it takes on average 7 conversations to book a single listing appointment. And these could be lightweight conversations, a text message back and forth, a quick phone call, a quick message or in the DMs, right? On average, it took 7 conversations to book a single listing appointment. So if you want to book 3 listing appointments per week, you have to have 21 conversations about real estate. So the question is obvious. How do I start more conversations? If conversations lead to appointments, appointments lead to listings, listings lead to commission checks leads to donating to charity and breaking goals and everyone crying on the air, right? Like, how do I get more listing appointments? We start more conversations. So what I want to share with you here is a couple techniques you can use on conversation starters. I'm sure you guys, if you guys had anyone from BombBomb, I'm sure they talked about the Jimmy Burgess strategy. I've been trying to rebrand this as the Jimmy strategy to take credit for it. But Michael, help me out here. Did you guys cover this strategy?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but I mean, if you got some examples, I mean, we use this and it's gold, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, just recap it for everyone who's listening right now, just to give them the high level overview. I'll fill in the blanks.
So we did talk about unsolicited CMAs. We're talking about BombBomb and the screen capture thing. The amazing thing about doing this, obviously, in a world where we have BombBomb, is perhaps we do not present that CMA at the ideal time, but they consume it. And then a few months go by and they do find the ideal time. When they open up that CMA the second time, and it happens to me all the time, usually I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a CMA that I sent out 3 months ago. The conversation, the script is so easy. Picking up the phone and say, hey, Tom, I sent you an evaluation 3 months ago. The market continues to change. Would you like me to update where things are currently right now? And they say the same thing every single time. Funny enough, Michael, we were just thinking about you. I mean, It is absolutely magic to do. And we've really, when COVID came in, we really moved to this strategy a lot with all of our past clients. They're getting them at least twice a year. And it's those triggers that can go out in the world because of all the information we have from here to trigger when it's right for you. Because quite in the past, Jimmy, a lot of the marketing we did was because it was right for us. The timing was right for us. We went out door knocking when it was convenient in our schedule. But in this world where you can deliver something to them, it will sit into their inbox. No one's going back 2 weeks into their Gmail account by accident. And so there's a lot of self-qualification that happens there. It's a beautiful strategy. Our client, you know what? We really went all in when COVID came. We went back and looked at all the deals we did in the past 3 or 4 months. Like 90% of them had received an unsolicited CMA, within the previous 8 months. It's just absolutely magical.
And Jimmy Burgess put $11 million under contract in 90 days. My buddy Steve Passanelli shared with me this on the Pass Water Cooler. Shout out to Steve and Ethan and the whole team over there at Bomb Bomb. So this is something you should be doing. This is like a conversation starter. But in addition to the Jimmy Burgess strategy that Michael's already implementing, you should also use the Facebook phishing strategy. So keep going down for me. Just one more slide, I believe it is. So this is where in Facebook, one of the very cool things that they do is when you're using Messenger, you can notice on the top part of the screen, you can have a green dot, and that means the person is actually live online right now. And so one of the things that you can use, the marketer, is something called pattern interrupt, which is when you can sort of get in someone's and sort of break their kind of like train of thought. It kind of creates this moment where you have their attention. So if someone's scrolling through the feed and all of a sudden they get a message, which is far more rare than a notification, they're going to open up that message. And so what you're looking at right now is you're looking at, I can see who's online right now. You're looking at some of the conversations I'm having. I can click into a message. I can record a video right there within the Facebook Messenger app. I would say, hey, Michael, I actually have some free time set aside this afternoon. I'm putting together a comparative market analysis, which is, in quotes, much more accurate than a Zestimate. For some of my VIP clients, it will include information like what your home is, worth today. It'll include comps of homes that have recently sold. It'll give you a lot more information if you're thinking about, just getting caught up on the market. Would you like me to send you one? Now, they're online. So instead of doing the work like the unsolicited CMA, you're starting the conversation. So you can take that script and you can use it as a mechanism to go down Facebook right now. And I promise you, for those of you who are online right now, if you just go, hey, I've got some time this afternoon dedicated to putting together, quick update for my VIP clients on the market. Would you like me to send you a report that's specific to your home? You're going to see people like, sure, send it my way. And now you're starting a conversation about real estate, but you're leading with value. So the technique here, Michael, is attacking people who are online right now within Facebook. That way, they're going to respond, or they're far more likely. You can do it in their inbox, which they will get to on their time. But if they're online on Facebook, you can capture their attention right then and there. So that's one thing you can do to start more conversations. Another tactic, if you scroll down for me, this one's really smart. I just think this one just has been really effective for us, which is you don't always have to sell to sell. So what you're looking at right now is just conducting a research project. And the basic idea behind this one, I know it's going to be a little hard to see the text there, but it's asking people's opinion about the market. The funny thing about real estate is that it's kind of like stocks and kind of like investing and money in general, which is all the non-experts have an opinion. So if I said to you, Michael, hey, Michael, I have $1 million. How do you think I should invest that money? And let's say Michael wasn't, who he was, he would give me some advice, right? And that's kind of people would just naturally do that. People have an opinion about where the market is and what's happening. So the what's your prediction angle here is a video you could shoot. Basically says, hey, I'm conducting a research project. I'd love to get your feedback. What's your prediction in the market? Do you think, number one, we are seeing the beginning of the real estate boom? Number two, we are towards the end, the market is going to stabilize? Or number three, we're headed towards a crash? And the idea is using a bomb video, emailing it out to your network. It's a way to start more conversations. Again, 7 conversations equal listing appointment. We need to have strategies designed around getting us in front of the consumer in creative ways to talk about real estate that aren't just, hey, would you like to know how much your home is worth? I'll give you one more example here for you guys. And that is this concept of a just sold. This is such an amazing opportunity. We talked earlier about when you sell a home, doing a success story. This is an opportunity for you to demonstrate that you can deliver the results the customer wants. So every time you sell a home, this is what I want you to do. I want you to recap what happened. How many impressions? How many people visited? How many offers did you get? What was the list price or the sale price over the list price? Recap a story. And then you can notice in this one where we're just showcasing and demonstrating in a single story that we're really good at what we do. The amount of agents that miss out on this opportunity is enormous. We see agents, Michael, who just simply, when they sell a home, they just put just sold 123 Main Street, Congratulations. Like, this is your moment to shine. Every single consumer wants to know what makes you different, what makes you special, what makes you unique. Tell a story around the sold property. The last example I have for you, and then we can go to Q&A here, Michael, is the name your price. Now, there's a technique you can use here called OPL, other people's listings. So when a notable home sells above asking price with multiple offers in a short amount of time, it's a matter of public record. And you don't even have to, I know with every MLS has different rules. You don't have to give away the address, but you could say, hey, a home in this neighborhood, I can't give away the exact address, sold in this, like, you know, at 25% above asking price. Just out of curiosity, what would be your quote, I'd be crazy not to sell price? And the beauty of something like this is that if you deliver it in the form of a video, right, people can kind of get a sense and a feeling of that it's sort of an exploratory conversation, no commitment. You're not trying to sell them on doing something. And so what I believe to be the case here is whether you're using video as a mass marketing tool, creating great content around the market, around who you are, what you do, what makes you special, you're advertising that to the large audience through YouTube advertising, you can build your brand recognition, your brand awareness, your brand affinity. But you've got to turn the corner. You've got to use video in a one-to-one fashion to promote homes that are selling, homes that are hitting the market, be promoting the fact that you can offer CMAs, be promoting the fact that you can help people, you know, get caught up on things they may not know about, you know, recent solds. You've got to use video to take people into the end zone. Like, marketing will take you all the way down the field. It will get you in the red zone, but it's the one-to-one use of video that will put you in the end zone. That's where the rubber really hits the road. So just to recap, we talked about the importance of understanding why consumers hire their agent. You should absolutely have a strategy around each one of those tactics. Number two, we talked about what consumers valued. Number three, we gave you a couple examples of where you can find content ideas. Number four, we talked about the importance of creating content on the back of your listings. And then finally, number five, just gave you a couple conversation starters you can use to have more conversations with more potential sellers using video to get more listings. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know I had to talk really fast because Michael gave me like 20 minutes and I'm way over. But Michael, throw it back to you for questions, my friend.
Yeah, no, amazing. I mean, one of the things we've been preaching on all week is that same thing that you touched on, where your marketing or your advertising can also be your marketing. This idea that, yeah, it gets the current home sold, but it has people go, that's how I want my home marketed when I go to sell. And it just makes the next one. I mean, I had a conversation with Raj Kazar when we were having dinner in Vancouver years ago. He had it home under contract and they were still putting up the film crew and spending a ridiculous amount of money on a video because that was going to bring the next one, the next one, the next one. And, you know, that's something that Jesse does really, really well too as well, is his marketing is also his advertising, or the other way around, however you want to look about it. So one of the questions at the beginning, Jimmy, here that people were really questioning, when you originally said about Google and you originally said about Facebook, people were like, but Michael, you've been talking about Facebook advertising and YouTube pre-roll ads, and Jimmy just said, you know, social marketing is dead at the beginning. I think a lot of people misunderstood maybe the tracking we can have. I mean, we can still retarget video views in such a meaningful way based on those questions. Should I? How could I? Or you know, all those questions create great buckets to put those viewers in. Just really maybe articulate the difference between maybe the golden years of knowing everything versus still being an effective way of marketing your business.
So let me clarify, because we do social advertising as a business. So let me be very clear here that I am in no way saying social media advertising is dead. But what I am saying is that now more than ever, the creative, the content that you're advertising, the message, the value is actually what matters. So in the past, Michael, we could rely on advanced targeting as a way to deliver really personalized ads to each individual. And what we now have to move towards is a value-based advertising model. And so that transition from precision and serving ads that are maybe further down the funnel, like direct call to action ads, if you serve would you like to sell your house today, find out what your home value is worth, to an audience of 100,000 people, a tiny subset is going to be interested in that. And so as a result, you are going to pay an extreme amount of money to get that ad in front of people who are not interested in it. So instead, you have to kind of move up funnel with your content and develop a creative advertising strategy that says, okay, that's a direct call to action that I might have on my landing page when they click through. But the hook, the thing that pulls me in, has got to be value-based. So an example being like, when will the real estate market crash? Searches for that keyword phrase are up 2,450% according to CNBC. That is relevant to a larger audience. So the transition is not, Facebook is not dead. Facebook is still the internet. Trust me here. But you have to move to the value-based advertising model. You can no longer just rely on targeting, is my point.
And one of the things too, and people have to get their head around, when you go really higher level type content, all you're doing is saying there's 100,000 people in my marketplace, which 5,000 people have any reasonable interest in this topic at all, and breaking those people off and then targeting them. No point just, just high level content, like you said, all those ideas, just those high level stuff, and then just pushing that group aside where you can then go deeper on them and funnel them down. One of the questions that was asked by many people, and it's a very interesting question, 26 years in the business, I didn't have to worry about this when social media came along, but how does a brand new agent prove track record?
Well, if you're a brand new agent right now, the very first thing you should do is go work for a team who has a track record. And I'm just being honest with you. In a market where you're competing against 800-pound gorillas who have the budget, the resources, the team, the advertising, the brand, like you should attach yourself. There's a concept in psychology called borrowed credibility. So Michael, if you started this conversation off introducing me and saying, I want to introduce you guys to Jimmy Mackin, CEO of Curator. He's been featured in Forbes. He's been featured in Inc. He's among the fastest 500 growing companies in the country. And he recently got his new book, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate, just got featured in Oprah's Book Club of the Month. Everyone would sit up in their seats and say, oh, wait a second. If Oprah likes this guy, right? Yeah. He's got to be something special. And so borrowed credibility is one of the most powerful things you can use as a new agent. So if you're not attached to a successful team and you're not using that to your advantage, you are at a major disadvantage. Now, there's a book next to me. Hang tight here, Michael.
Yeah.
There's a book next to me called Zillow Talk. Now, as much as I talk about how much I think agents need to compete against Zillow, I have nothing but respect for Zillow and Spencer Raskoff and Rich Barton, the team over there. They do amazing work. We just have philosophical differences of opinion around the people that we serve. But in the book, Spencer points out that newer agents actually sell homes faster and for more money than experienced agents. It's counterintuitive. They have data on this. And the reason that's the case is because they don't have that many listings. So they're out there doing everything in their power to get the home sold. They're working twice as hard. And so they have that sort of like newcomers, fresh eyes perspective, and they go into every deal trying to prove themselves. So you can use some of that.
Jimmy, do you also think from an agent that's been at this for 26 years, newer agents have some sense of advantage because they're not harnessed with it's always been done this way? And when they hear Jimmy Mackin speak, they go, that sounds like a good idea, versus when Jimmy Mackin speaks and I go, well, that's not the way we do it. Do you think younger agents, newer agents are just so much more accepting to the huge opportunities that a 2021 world presents to them?
The entrepreneur who I've always looked to as an inspiration, a mentor, is Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos has a line where he says, it's always day one. So Amazon is the most innovative company in the world. Arguably Tesla's right there with them, but if you look at their body of work, they're absolutely in the top 5. They have disrupted many different industries. They've built $1 trillion business. And there is a philosophy that has driven Amazon to become the company it is today. And it is this day one mindset. So to answer your question directly, Michael, new agents have a day one mindset. They're new. Everything's exciting. Let me try some new stuff. It's easy to get caught up in the mundane nature of running a business. We've been doing it for 10 years right now. I get it. If you've been doing it for 20 years, like, my hat's off to you. It's hard to run a business for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. You've got to manufacture that enthusiasm, and you got to create a culture around having a day one mentality, because day 2 is irrelevancy. Day 3 is death. And so you've got to have this mindset that every day we're trying to reinvent ourselves to serve our customers, to add more value. And we're willing to do anything and everything to make sure that we're always on the cutting edge. We will build on the lessons we've learned, but we are never too old or never too established or seasoned to think we know it all. Because I know, I like you, Michael, I'm learning new things every single day, and I've been doing this for a decade. First off, thank you all for having me. This was a lot of fun, Michael and the whole team. I appreciate you guys putting this on. It's a wild event. You guys are doing some amazing work here. It's really impressive. And the sort of like pandemic / post-pandemic, whatever phase we're in right now, I know how hard it is to bring a community together, to have people come together and share ideas over the course of multi-days. We're all zoomed out at this point, but clearly you guys have an amazing community and you guys are doing some incredible work. So kudos to you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's session.
Jimmy, you were amazing. I'm writing notes and just.
Hey man, this is one of the ones where I'm like, get me off camera, because I'm head down, taking notes, screenshotting. And Jimmy, I just want to say I appreciate your daily quick hits, your links in your profiles, everything you're doing. If something comes out, I'm following. I appreciate that fresh look, but also this is kind of stemming from giving it away, right? Getting things started for bigger purposes and bigger relationships. And it is definitely those conversations and tidbits that are so crucial to raise the bar in our industry. So I'm watching as a consumer and someone in the industry, and I just want to say thank you. It's making a difference big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, Jesse. It means a lot. Let me just leave your audience with one last tip here, and I'll let you guys run. You guys are spending 4 to 5 days consuming content from the best and the brightest in this industry. I saw the lineup, just incredible thought leaders in the space who are putting out amazing ideas. And my advice to all of you who are listening right now is to understand that marketing, unlike any other activity, it compounds. And so no matter what you do, whatever idea you're drawn to from today's session or from any of the previous sessions, is, as an agent, the temptation is to put something out there and see how the rest of the industry reacts. And I challenge each of you to spend the next week, the next month, just putting your head down and executing and focusing in on the consumer. And Jesse was mentioning the stuff I'm putting on Instagram. You know, I haven't been on Instagram in years. I've never even used it as a platform. Now I have close to 7,000 followers. I get, incredible engagement on every post. I started in January of this year. What month is it? It's May. I neglected it for 6 or 7 years, a couple posts here and there. And what I said to myself, because my social media manager at Curator said to me, Jimmy, you're CEO. You got to build a brand. You got to get out there. The people need to hear from you. And I just resisted it. And she said, it's hurting the brand. I said, okay, I'll do it. But if I'm going to do it, I'm not posting pictures of my kids or what I'm eating, or daughter. I only have one daughter. I'm not posting where I'm going or where I'm traveling, because I just don't think that my audience wants that. And so I made a declaration and said, I am going to become the most useful person to follow in real estate. So every post, every time is something that I hope adds value. And so what I would challenge you to think about here is saying, make a decision, make a declaration. What do you want to become with your brand online? And it's not like we're in the first inning, guys. This is the first inning. I started in January, right? Like, I've been doing other stuff for a while, but I started in January. It's the first inning. Get out there, start doing it, start executing, and you would be unbelievably surprised on how quickly you can build this stuff. So I'm excited to see what you guys are doing. And, hit me up on Instagram, keep me posted, share with me your work. I'm looking forward to staying connected to this entire community. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks, Jimmy. You're amazing. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.